Okay, so I want to be clear. We are not claiming that Canada is a nation. The Minister of Indigenous Relations recognized us nation to nation, even though Canada is not a nation, right? We all know at this point in time that they're incorporated, and that's what they are. It's a corporation. So just clarifying so somebody doesn't say we're going around saying that. Number two is on the agenda, 1B. It says AIN, United We Stand People. Okay, this is really important for those of you that have a blog or a Substack or know somebody, know a patriot that does, and want to get the truth disseminated to the people. We are trying to get as many blogs as we can. We want to work together with anybody that has a blog, Substack. And what we're doing is we have IT experts and we're going to rebut all the false narrative that and the propaganda that's being put out there. How we're going to do that is by having a professional team do rebuttals. Once that professional rebuttal is done, we all take it, we post it, we repost it, we like, we comment, and we put it on our own blogs. Okay. And then we have people that will tweak the search engines. So when you go to search something, you will get our truth, hopefully will come up before the fraud and the propaganda that's being put out by the propaganda machine. Okay. This is really important because we need to take this to the court of public opinion since we cannot count on our current courts in the condition that they're in Canada Inc. So that's the purpose of this. So please, if you know anybody that has a blog, or if you have a blog, please put it in the chat or email it to me and we'll put you on the list because we're going to be working together to make this go viral. Second on the agenda, we started a free charitable religious trust Zoom. It's going to be offered the first and third Tuesday of every month from 7:30 to 8:30. It's free for anyone and everyone who wants to join. The trusts are not free, but the Zoom is free. Okay. That's number two. And the link for those trust Zooms are in today's email blast. Number three on the agenda is AIN Educational Forum Letter. We're not going to spend any time on that. Four, I won't spend any time on that. There's some links in today's email blast to Terra Australis. They have over 360 sovereign nations in Australia. Now, if you want to check out what they're doing, it's in there. And as usual, all the upcoming sovereign indigenous nation events are at the link, the powwow link that's in there as well. So with that said, let me just see if our guest speaker, Dr. Graves, is on. I don't see him.
Right here.
Oh, there he is. Aloha, Dr. Graves, and welcome.
Aloha. Greetings, everyone.
Okay. Dr. Graves, yeah, I don't know if you heard what I was saying, but I always like to allow our guest speakers the opportunity to hear what it is exactly what we're doing so they can get a better feel of what we have uncovered in Canada. With that
Understand.
said,
Yes.
yeah, go ahead.
Good afternoon. How may I help?
Give me 1 second, Dr. Graves. I want to introduce you properly here. While I'm pulling that up, does anybody have any questions about the blog, about the trust Zoom, about any of that administrative?
When is the
Nobody?
trust Zoom?
Pardon me?
When is the trust Zoom?
It's on first and third Tuesdays of the month from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can send the link to anybody you want to. It's free for everyone. Okay. They'll be recorded and there'll be replays, but the replays are going to go into a library. They're not going to be sent to everybody like we do with this guest speaker Zoom.
I really ask a question.
Yes. Go ahead.
Oh, with
Marilyn,
respect to
go
the
ahead.
trust, I realized that your friend charges, I think it's like 1,900.
Marilyn, if it's a trust related question, can you just, can we take care of it after this call so we don't tie it
Yeah.
up since our guest speaker's here?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So our guest speaker today, Dr. Frederick Graves, been an attorney for 39 years, winning case after case using the same tactics. He's been helping people for a long, long time. I'm trying to find your resume here. It's in the about. I know that's Harry. And give me 1 second. I got too much. Oh, by the way, in the chat, I already posted. If you're not receiving the link for these Zooms, the subscribe link is in the chat there. If you click on it, you'll be subscribed in about 5 seconds. It's free and you'll automatically get the link so we don't have to send it to you. All right. Dr. Graves, I want to just point some of this out because it shows that you're just an typical man, average man like the rest of us. When you're 39, you started law school and it looks like you were engaged in many professions over the years. And what else, Dr. Grave, am I missing here? Can you help me out? I'm trying to pull you off your what about here?
I just want to empower people by teaching them how to control courts and get the courts to do what needs to be done so you can get the justice that you seek. It's not complicated, but you have to do
Awesome.
things a certain way, just like anything else in life. If you go at it hammer and tong, or you think it's some kind of an emotional activity that you can get all emotional and think that people are going to pay attention to you, then you will not succeed. But I do enjoy helping people to understand it's just a system and there's a process and there is corruption. We expect that. But if you don't know how to do it, you can't expect to have success. Did you want me to just keep talking or did you
Yeah,
have?
you know what? Why don't you just keep talking since you're doing so good so far here. Take it away.
Okay. All right. Let's see, how can we start this? The main thing that I like people to understand that they do not understand, you go to court, you think that it's all about going to court, standing in a courtroom and talking. It's nothing to do with that. Put that out of your mind. It has nothing to do with that. It's all done on paper. You make your arguments on paper and you file those arguments in the courthouse before you go to court. You arrange in advance to have a court reporter or some kind of recording device that you will be able to get a transcript from. If you do not do that, do not expect success. If you do not do that, the court can do whatever it wants to do. So right there, I've helped you immensely if you'll just pick up on what I just told you. People do not understand how the system works. There is corruption. Judges often are not intelligent, they're biased, but there is an appeals process. If you do not do things in writing, then the appellate court will not hear you. If you do not make your objections properly, when the court makes mistakes, the appellate court will not give you another bite at the apple. Too many people, they feel sorry for themselves and they try to accomplish something without using the proper methods, and then they want to blame everybody else because they don't get success. But if you will pay attention to these things that I tell you, and of course my website, howtowinincourt.com, for $249, you can learn all of this, most of it in a single weekend if you put on the coffee pot and get started. Or you can just don't learn. Just think you can do it on your own, or think somehow everybody's supposed to pay attention to you, and then it won't work. And then you can feel sorry for yourself and you can be angry, and that won't help anybody. If you want to be serious about this, you have to imagine that it is a war. It's a war of words. Words express ideas. Ideas express ideals. And you have ideals, you have goals. There are things you believe in that other people don't even understand. They can't even imagine where you're coming from. And to assume that they ought to imagine, that they ought to understand, without your taking responsibility to communicate these things effectively using words on paper, not waiting till you get to the courthouse to talk about it. If you don't do these things, you're not going to succeed. Now, in most cases, there's a lawyer on the other side. He will lie. He will cheat. He will lie to the judge. He will misstate what the law is. He will cite cases that do not apply. You have to do the work. If you don't want to do the work, don't expect to win. I speak harshly to you because I think the time has come that we have to begin to speak harshly, because it is a war. You good people are not the only people that are being subjected to all kinds of abuses from government or from corporations or from other groups that have their agenda that may not align with your agenda. But if you make up your mind that you will be warriors, word warriors, and if you express yourselves in a certain way about certain things, then you may begin to have some success. I tell you, because I've been doing this now, I've been doing it for 40 years. For the past 30 years, I've had this website, this course that I've been building, 30 years. I've listened to a lot of people. And well, more than 19 out of 20 people that I have to engage with don't have a clue. Probably 9 out of 10 of those people are angry. And they think the sky is falling and that nothing works. And that's what I was hearing John say. You're not getting traction. And you're probably not getting traction because you're not doing it correctly. Now, I don't imagine that just if you do it correctly, you're going to get what you want. We can certainly agree. I hope every one of us will agree with me. If you don't do it correctly, then you're definitely not going to get what you want. But if you do these things the way they're supposed to be done, step by step, you make your arguments in writing, you back up your arguments with the law, not your opinion. Nobody cares about your opinion. You have to back up your arguments with the law, citations to existing law. And you have to make your arguments such that they fit the law, that they present the law, and that you present the facts. When you present the facts, we get into an area called evidence. Evidence, just like a baseball game, has rules. You can't just walk into the courthouse and say, I have evidence. Doesn't work. Some things are admissible evidence, and then everything else is not evidence. That doesn't make a lot of sense to people when I say that, but I'll say it again. Just because you have something that you think is evidence, unless it's admitted to the court record according to the rules, you see, there are rules that decide what is and what is not as admissible. So if the stuff you have is not admissible, it's not evidence, no matter what you think it is or what you think it ought to be. So I guess, I could keep talking about this and maybe you'll have some questions. I'm not going to answer questions about your private cases. I don't follow what's going on in every courtroom in the universe. My brain's not that big. But you must understand, if you do not do these things correctly, you're not going to get success. But there are people, you must understand, the world's a whole lot better than it was 200 years ago. Let's just think about that for a minute. The world's a whole lot better than it was the day I was born in 1943. In Europe, people being dragged out of their homes and shot to death in the street. Women and children being taken by boxcar to a place where they were undressed and told to go take a shower, and the shower was cyanide gas. We don't have that anymore. when I was a boy, people of color didn't get to go to school in the United States. You had to go to a separate school. 100 years ago, my ancestors, the Cherokee, were driven out of Georgia and North Carolina and sent to Oklahoma, Tahlequah. I've been to Tahlequah. I've met with the judge in Tahlequah. So they have a little community there. I think they'd rather be in Georgia and North Carolina. But people in Georgia and North Carolina are Cherokee now, and they get to stay there because we are making progress. The world is getting safer. It is not everything that it should be. That's down the road a piece. And that's going to depend on people like you. Whether you're willing to take up the sword. Here we go, just a moment. Let me get to this little thing here. I'll show you. There you go.
Oh.
There's a pen. The pen's crossing the sword. And that's a challenge to each and every one of you. And I'll have you realize too that the pen crosses the sword. It's kind of like a cross. And without getting into religion, don't want to offend anybody by talking about religion, but I've gotten to the point in my life, I don't really care if it offends you if I talk
Doc,
about my friends.
excuse me,
They
Doc,
nailed to a cross.
excuse me, Doc, do you
They
want me to
nailed
do the
somebody
share
to a
screen for
cross.
you?
Pardon me?
Would you like the share screen?
No, I just want
Okay.
you to see the image that I put up
Okay.
there. It's a sword crossed with a pen. You see that, do you not, John?
Yeah.
Okay. So take religion out of what I have to say and understand that there was a fellow who was nailed to a cross by the corruption of a judge named Caiaphas, who was the Supreme Court Chief Justice in Jerusalem at the time, a little over 2,000 years ago. In these past 2,000 years, we've made progress, and we made a lot of progress. And some of that progress is because millions of people have come to realize that what happened on that hill long ago was wrong. Whether it has anything to do with religion or living forever, eternity, or whatever you want to imagine it stands for. It stands for a principle that some people have to work to make the world safe for other people. And it's not happening. People are lazy. People are ignorant. They don't want to learn. They want somebody to do it for them. But you see, the pen is truly mightier than the sword, but not if you don't use it, and not if you don't know how to use it correctly. But if you'll make an effort, if each and every one of you will make an effort to make up your mind that this is a war, you are fighting for the safety of the human species. There are people in high places that want to run everything. They want to rule you. I want you to learn how to govern yourselves. If you will govern yourselves, then you need not be ruled. But if you do refuse to govern yourselves, then you will be ruled, and you won't like it. You will do what the rulers tell you to do, but you have an opportunity to learn, to come together, to help each other, to learn these things that I teach. I don't know anybody else that teaches them the way I teach them, but if you will learn these things the way I teach them, then you will know how to use that pen. Of course, we use computers and printers and all kinds of things today that we didn't have when I was a boy. So the pen symbolizes words on paper, not words coming out of your mouth, not just emotions and being angry and thinking that's going to make everybody pay attention. But when you learn how to use words on paper, and you learn what the law is and how to work within the law and how to change the law, how to control judges, how to get evidence into the record as admissible evidence, instead of just some kind of stuff you pulled out of your hip pocket you think everybody's going to pay attention to. And you take this responsibility You could think of it as an opportunity. I prefer to think of it as an opportunity, but it's only an opportunity to people who will make the effort to learn how to do this. But it's a responsibility to all of you. The entire American and, well, the entire human race has been ruled too long because human nature is to be lazy. Human nature is somebody else ought to do it for me. And I challenge you. If you get my course or find somebody else that will teach you what I teach, but find somebody who will show you how easy this really is, the way I do. And then when you go to court, make a record. Make your arguments in writing. Get them filed with the clerk. Research the law. Cite the law. Use citations to appellate court opinions. Find out what the statutes are. Find out what common law principles are. And when you go to court, make your arguments in writing. Then when you stand in the courtroom, you know what you have to say, and you'll know how to say it. It's really very simple. It's a simple process, but it requires work. And if you don't want to do the work, don't expect to get the success you seek. That's really it in a nutshell, John.
Ooh, okay. Who would like to ask Dr. Graves some question about what he said so far?
Madeline. Unmute. Unmute, Madeline. Unmute. Unmute yourself, Madeline.
You mean Maryland?
I-
or-
Okay, there
I'm
you go.
having trouble, but I can't see the speaker.
Well,
Is
I just thought you wanted to see my image here, but I'll let you see me. Here you go. For what it's
There you
worth. There.
Beautiful. Go ahead, Madeline.
Where?
Top left. Right next to John.
Okay. Give her a second, and then Marilyn will go over to you after Madeline. And if we can hear you, Madeline, go ahead and ask your question.
No, but that's it.
Should we come back to you, Madeline?
No.
Okay.
Are you talking to Marilyn or are you talking to me?
We're talking to you, Madeline. Yeah,
Nope.
go ahead. You have a question?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Marilyn, you're up. Aloha.
How much time do I have? And thank you for being here. Is it Dr. Gray?
Dr. Graves, Dr. Frederick
Dr.
Graves.
Gray. I have a lot of questions, but I don't want to take up the time. But
So Marilyn, can you ask one question, and then if nobody else has a hand up, we can come back to you. That way it's fair for everybody.
I'm going to talk really fast, John. Okay.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I did a lot of the work with respect to exploration of discovery, mediation. I provided a top judge for Toronto, a letter stating why I should win my case. I'm the plaintiff. I provided a statement of issue, concrete evidence. And yes, it is a war, and my war is against the previous Minister Attorney General of Ontario. That's all I have to say about that. But just this week, I attended a court Zoom meeting pertaining to, am I allowed to say the name, John? Brian's name? Brian Cobbs? Well,
Sure.
I said it. He's the appellant who stood in front of, he attended his court of appeal, and he stood in front of 3 judges. And one particular judge stated that he didn't have the information in front of him, evidence, it wasn't presented, it wasn't, it's not that it wasn't presented to him, he didn't read it. So my question is, and this has been my experience several times in court, I've been to court many times, is you file your evidence, your concrete evidence into the courthouse, and there seems to be a gap there between the administrators providing the information directly to the judge prior to a hearing. So, you know, it's happened to me a couple of times where the judge will say, well, where is that information, the tab 5, tab 4? So why is it judges don't read the material prior to the hearing? Why
Is that my
is that?
question? Is that the
Yeah, that's the
question?
question. Yes.
Okay,
So
well,
lazy
because that's
too.
not their job. That's what the hearing is for. That's why we go to hearings. We file the papers, and then we go to hearings. And before I go to a hearing, I make sure that everything in the file went to the judge, and the clerk has it. She's there at the courthouse, and she's got the file. Usually there's many cases going on. The judge has a bunch of cases he has to see. Mine is not the only one. And another thing I wanted to add, because I heard what you said about you were filing your evidence. I don't do that. I get evidence from the other side. I use my 5 discovery tools to force the other side to produce the evidence I need, or to agree with the evidence I have, so that there's not any argument comes time to go to the hearing. Again, my website is howtowinincourt.com. Just think about that for a minute. Howtowinincourt.com. 30 years on the website, helped tens of thousands of people to learn how to do this. But there's a way to do it. And if you do it my way, the chance of winning is multiplied 100-fold. But I don't just go there and present my evidence and say, look, I've got this and I've got this and I should win. No, I do all this. I win the case before I go to the courthouse. I win the case on paper. I use my 5 discovery tools: request for admissions, request for production, interrogatories, depositions, and court orders. So you have the ability to prove your case before trial, before even a hearing. Then you go in and you argue your case, and you make the necessary objections to preserve the record for appeal. And then if the judge rules against you, you've set the case up to be won on appeal. It's a simple process. If you want to learn it, then you have to learn it from me, because I really don't think anybody else in the world is teaching it the way I do, because the way I teach it works. Howtowinincourt.com. You win your case before trial. You win it on paper. You win it by doing these things according to a certain series of steps: pleadings, discovery, motions, orders. That's it.
Okay.
Does that help?
That sounds really good, because to me, going to court is comparable to like a crime scene, where it sounds to me like you're providing the reverse of a crime scene, where you already know who the criminal is. So you're instead of me personally presenting all the evidence, it's the opposite. Is that correct?
Well, I don't see it that way. To me, it's, I hate to think of it as a game, but it's really a game. It's a process.
Yeah.
Okay. I allege what I want to prove. I only allege what I need to prove. Let me say that again. I allege what I intend to prove. I only allege what I need to prove. And then I use my 5 discovery tools to prove what I need to prove before I go to court. And this process is called discovery. And you have 5 discovery tools: request for admissions, request for production, interrogatories, depositions, and court orders. It's all explained in my course, howtowinincourt.com. But you have to do this It's something you have to do. I can't do it for you. No one's going to do it for you. The judge isn't there to help you. That's not his job. His job is to be an umpire. That's it. That's his job. He's there to be an umpire. You go to court, the other fellow has something to say, you have something to say. And if you've done this the way I teach it, you've already said what you needed to say because you said it on paper. Now you're in the courthouse, you can say it again. You don't have to be nearly so confused because you're not trying to pull this out of your head and think as you go. You've already said everything. And you just go by what you've already filed. You explain that to the court. And when the court begins to allow things that should not be allowed, you say, objection, Your Honor, that's hearsay. Objection, relevance, objection, asked and answered. And you know these objections because I have a whole class on objections. You can learn objections in 2 hours. You can learn the rules of evidence in 2 hours. You can learn this whole thing in 2 days if you'll make an effort. Problem is, and I don't mean to be pejorative in any way, but the problem that we have throughout the entire universe, at least on this planet, people don't want to learn. They don't want to make the effort. And then they think somehow somebody owes you a living. It's not true. It isn't going to work that way. If you'll make the effort, if you'll be word warriors and learn how to do it my way, you will make progress. You will begin to win some instead of losing all these cases.
You sound great. So I'll take the
Well, I've been
course.
at it a long time, ma'am.
Yeah.
For 40 years, 4 decades
Yeah.
of understanding this process that nobody seems to understand. Even lawyers, I've known lawyers dumb as a sack of rocks. You have to do it a certain way. It's a beautiful system. And it's the same in Canada for the most part as it is in the United States, Australia, New Zealand. I have people all over the world using my course. It's a process. And if you don't do it according to the process, it's like people want to play baseball with a tennis racket. The umpire won't allow it. And you say, oh, but the other side, you know, he's a better baseball player. I should be allowed to use the tennis racket because it's easier to hit the ball. No, we all play according to the same rules. So if you're willing to accept that responsibility and step up to the plate and learn how to do it the right way, then maybe you begin to make some progress and things will happen that will make you happy. Or you can refuse to learn, don't go to my website, think you can do it all, just make it up as you go along, and you will fail.
May I ask you another question, please?
I guess.
A friend of mine stated that all that had to be stated to a judge was, I like to this day, he won't tell me what was said, but it makes the judge leave immediately. Like,
I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what?
I said, a friend of mine stated that all a person has to say to a judge and the judge leaves immediately. Is that just hearsay?
That's
Is that
nonsense. That's
Okay.
utter nonsense.
okay? Okay.
Come on, let's do it the right way. I'm sorry, I seem angry, man, because it hurts me how many people on this planet are being destroyed. People
Yeah.
are being murdered by government people. People are having their homes taken away, having their children taken away, having their businesses shut down by more powerful people that are taking advantage of people all the time. I'm sick and tired of it. But it isn't going to change until people like you make up your minds. Okay, let's stop with all the games. Stop thinking there's some simple way to do this that you can learn in 5 minutes. Dig in,
I have
learn
an
how to do it
emergency
correctly,
one.
and you can win.
Here's an emergency one. Thank you. Thank you.
So
Thank
if you're
Okay,
not
my-
speaking, make sure you mute out, please.
I have
Okay. Marilyn, did you get your questions answered?
Well, I do have more, but may I ask
Okay.
just one more thing?
Yeah,
And
let us come back, Marilyn, to you because there's other people
Okay.
with their hands up, and then we'll come back to you. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Let's go over to Sharon. Sharon, aloha. Go ahead.
Hey, hello, Mr. Graves.
Hi.
I believe what Marilyn was referring to was challenging the judge's jurisdiction at the very outset of your your presence in court.
Okay, you want me to speak to that?
Sure.
Maybe,
Yeah.
okay, for example, when I was first starting, didn't know anything, I filed a case in the circuit court. The amount in controversy was less than $5,000. Circuit court didn't have jurisdiction over a case, $5,000 that belonged in small claims. So we had to move the case to small claims. But these people out there, there's all these internet things, these Telegram groups that are being run by just huge egos, angry, huge egos. And they've convinced people all you have to do is just challenge jurisdiction. Everything will just go away. Maybe one case in 1,000, you can challenge jurisdiction. That's the court has jurisdiction. You've been served with a subpoena. You've been served with a copy of a complaint, or you've been served with an arrest document. The court has jurisdiction. Boom, they got you. And you can play that game if you want to, but why not just learn how to win the case? Why not just learn the rules of evidence, learn how to make objections, learn how to make your arguments in writing, and proceed and win instead of trying to find some kind of simple, easy way to win? It's just nonsense. And it's not helping the movement. I mean, it really isn't making the world safe. These people that run these Telegram groups and all these other outfits on the internet, they're huge egos, these leaders of these groups. I've watched them. I've been doing this for 30 years. I get emails from people talking about their straw man and a judge doesn't have an oath of office and all these crazy talk. It doesn't work. So if it's not going to work, why do you want to do it? If it works, maybe once in 1,000 cases. Or maybe get a judge sometime, he's just tired. I used to have a judge, when I come into courtroom, he'd get off the bench and leave. He just didn't want to deal with me. But sooner or later, they have to deal with me because I'm there to win. I'm there to get justice for my clients.
Okay. My question is, could you list the types of cases that your course covers?
Every kind of case.
Every kind
Every
of
case follows the rules of evidence. Every case is where both sides allege facts, and whoever can prove his essential facts wins. So there's allegations, those are done with pleadings. And then there's discovery, where you use your 5 discovery tools to get the evidence into the record before going to court. And then there are motions to get orders. Orders is what we're trying to get. That's how we win, is when we get an order from the court granting what we want. But you need to sign up for my course, Sharon. It's only $249, and then you'll have what you need, and you don't have to expect me to tell you everything in this short period of time, because you're not going to learn everything in this short period of time.
Okay,
you.
Karen? You're Sharon? You okay? Good? Okay. Let's go over to, sorry, I just cut you off, Jay Rose. Did you have your hand up, Jay Rose?
Yeah, hi, Shka. Thank you. Good day. Aloha, all you present. And thank you, Doc, for what you're bringing forward and your dedication over these last 4 decades. I was just curious about those 5 processes of discovery through your course that then it takes you through the steps of how to proceed with them then thereafter.
Yeah, actually, I give you examples of forms. I give you examples of how you would use it. In a particular, I create like a hypothetical situation. Like I remember one of the things I have, one of the Peter plaintiff, I call him Peter plaintiff, entered into an agreement with Danny defendant that Danny was going to spray his strawberries because Peter was going on vacation or something. And Danny said, yeah, I'll spray your strawberries. And Peter paid him. And of course, Danny didn't spray the strawberries. So now we have a case. We got damages. Peter lost a lot of money. His strawberries died because they weren't sprayed. The bugs ate them. So then I teach these examples, and I show you how do you use request for admissions? How do you force the other side to admit things that need to be admitted? And let me make that clear, because this will help all of you. There's no point talking about things that don't make a difference. That's where this word relevance comes in. We talk about relevance. If it doesn't make a difference, if it isn't going to impact the outcome of the case, don't bother with it. It doesn't matter. So you have requests for admissions and you have requests for production. You can force the other side to produce documents. And if they don't produce them, you can force them to go to jail. There's a process in my course.
So,
There's three steps. And if they still won't produce what you requested, if what you requested is relevant, you requested production of a document, a letter from Aunt Susie, whatever it is. And if it's relevant to the outcome and they refuse to produce it, you go through this process and you can force the judge to have them arrested and locked up until they produce it. You have the power. Or, excuse me, I really don't mean to be pejorative, but I want to be very, very forceful with what I'm trying to present to you good people. This is war. This is time for you to decide we've had enough. We want to get the justice we deserve. If the law is on our side, then there's one thing between us and getting that decision that we need, and that is the judge. But it's not just the judge that's creating the problem. It's our own ignorance, our own laziness, our own refusal to learn the process. You learn the process, now you have power. You learn the process, and then I'll put this back up again. Now the pen defeats the sword. But the pen doesn't defeat the sword until you learn the process. Now you're all grown-ups, you're not children. Take responsibility for what's going on. Take responsibility not just for your particular things that you're worried about and your particular ambitions for yourselves. Take up this warfare for the sake of all weak people, no matter where they are. People that are being abused, having their children taken away from them. I run into that quite often. Just
Every
imagine
week
you
for
come
me.
home, your children are gone because somebody lied about you. Or and it needs to stop. But we are making progress. And I want to keep saying that over and over again with you good people. We don't hold people underwater anymore to see if they're guilty. They used to do that. We don't make them walk around with red hot iron pieces on their arms to see if later after the arms will fester. They used to do things like that. They used to burn people at the stake. The world's getting better. And it's getting better because of the example that we were given by this fellow that they drove nails in his hands and feet. I'm not talking about religion, folks. I'm talking about a real person who inspired millions of us to stand up and fight for what's right, to fight injustice, to put it down, to understand that people like him deserve to be protected from people like these chief judges and these high-minded people that think that they own everything, that they own the world, that they're smarter than you, and therefore they're going to tell you what to do the rest of your life. It's up to you. It's up to you. Learn how to win in court. Go get my course, howtowinincourt.com. Learn how to do this, and then tell other people that there is power. There is the ability to change your world for the better, but it requires work. And it reminds me of Thomas Edison, that invented the light bulb. He was quoted as saying that people miss opportunity because it's dressed in overalls and looks like work. You have to do the work. If you want to get the result, do the work. Learn how to win in court.
We got a few more questions, Doc. Going to go over. I see Chief Bill. I see your hand. We're going to go to Black Wolf, and then we'll come to you, Chief William. Go ahead, Black
Hi,
Wolf. Aloha.
thank
Welcome.
you. Sorry, I arrived a bit late. Could not find the link, but my question is, maybe it's been answered already. We did a tremendous amount of work to get justice here in Canada, even having some American sources try to help us and getting the equivalents found in order to get remedy and justice. The conclusion I face right now, and I hope you're gonna be able to change that is the system is so corrupt that human rights, taxpayer bill of rights, indigenous rights, and in Quebec even say the rights of the person, as far as I'm concerned, is nowhere to be found. That's an example that we ran into is taxpayer bill of rights 15 says you have the right for the representative of your choice, only to end up in tax court saying, I don't know, here it's Article 17.1 in our code that says either you defend yourself on your own or you hire a licensed bar member. So again, denying the rights. So in what is it that you're saying can change a reality and finally have justice, respect for human rights, and whatever it entails?
Okay, I can speak to that.
Thank you.
When I go to court, I expect corruption. I don't expect people to just roll over and do what I want them to do. I make them do it. I force them to do it. I use the skills that I've developed and the skills that I teach to get justice for my clients. I teach people how to do this for themselves, and they're learning and knowing how to do it. But you have to go back and you have to understand that every bit of progress that we've made since 2,000 years ago has been because people have understood, yes, there's corruption. Justice doesn't grow on trees. It doesn't fall out of the friendly skies. You have to work for it. You have to fight for it. A whole lot of your Canadian people went overseas in Europe. When I was born, there were Canadian boys over there with rifles crawling through the mud for your rights. And now I have to deal with people every single day. Again, I don't mean to be pejorative, but I deal with people every single day who don't take into account the suffering of those soldiers who went over there and fought for your rights. And then I have to put up with people who just complain because they're having a difficult time getting justice when they won't learn how to win in court. They won't learn how to get justice, so they don't get justice. And then they get angry about it and think the sky is falling, the end of the world, and everything's corrupt. And you don't understand, things are way better than they were 82 years ago, way better than they were. And they're getting better. They're getting better in Canada. They're getting better in the United States. They're getting better in England and Ireland and Spain and everywhere else, because people are beginning to learn how to use words. Words are your weapons.
Okay.
But you have to put the words in a certain way. You have to write sentences. There's part of my course teaches you how to write sentences, how to write legal, how to do these things, how to draft a proper motion, how to draft a proper pleading. And if you don't want to do that, no. And there's a whole lot of people. Another thing you need to take into account, sir, and all of you, now that we have the internet, before we had the internet, it was real hard for everybody to sit around, bitch and moan. You really couldn't communicate your bitching and moaning so much. I mean, amateur radio people could get on. We could all talk to people. We could maybe have a little, what they called a network. There was a network on 80 meters. And when I was a boy, and my dad and I, we'd get on, we could talk to people in West Virginia or Pennsylvania. We could get a group of people and they could bitch and moan a little bit. But today, we have a Zoom group and we can all get together and say, isn't it awful? Oh my gosh, isn't it awful? Oh my, oh my, oh my, isn't it just terrible? And yet this afternoon, when I get off with you, my sweet wife and I are going to get in the car. We're going to push a button. The car's going to start. Probably not going to have a flat tire between here and where we're going. But when I was a little boy, you could hardly go on a trip for 50 miles, didn't see at least one car on the side of the road with a flat tire or the engine quit. We have all these wonderful technological advantages. I'm going to go to the grocery store. Nobody's going to stop me. I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna get some stuff to cook for lunch tomorrow for my son is coming over. We're gonna have some fun tomorrow. Nobody's gonna stop me. I'm gonna pay for my meal. I'm not gonna expect anybody to give me the food. And I'm gonna get back in my car. I'm gonna drive home. Nobody's gonna knock down my front door tonight. Nobody's gonna come in and rape my wife, because I live in a wonderful world that people died for me to enjoy these things. People
As much
died.
as I can be happy and considerate that you have a nice life, my beliefs were that if you're acting in good faith and you honor those uh, sacred words and you have at heart to help your brothers and sisters, why you should have to defend yourself in a corrupt justice court where your rights are denied?
Well, get over yourself, Black Wolf.
What do you
Get
mean
over
by
yourself.
this?
Put on your big boy pants. Deal with the world the way it is. We have to fight for everything.
Okay,
We
so
have to
again,
work.
where do you find
We
justice in this corrupt system?
You
When you
find
end up
justice by
there and you
learning.
find a name
You
in
learn the
capital,
rules. You learn the rules, Black
okay.
Wolf. You learn
So
the rules. The court
do you
has
confirm to
rules.
me that rights
If you
do not
don't want
exist
to
in
learn the
courts?
rules, Black Wolf, don't expect justice if you won't learn the rules that are there to provide justice for all of us, to create an
Okay.
even, equal playing field for both sides.
That's a reality that the balance of power is not in the favor of the defendants,
It never
especially
has
when,
been.
okay,
Grow
so
up.
again,
Take
you say that,
responsibility. Learn the rules,
okay,
Black Wolf. Learn how to get
I
evidence into the record.
dedicated with a bunch of people years and decades of work to learn rights and justice and how to thrive for having great business projects, finally to be serving humanity.
Well,
But
okay,
we're
well, just
facing
too bad.
justice and
All right,
injustices.
well,
Now
I
you're
don't think
telling me,
anything's
okay,
going to get
scrap
any
everything
better
you've
by
been
you
doing,
complaining
learn my
about it.
stuff.
I don't think anything's going to change by your complaining about it. And telling us how awful
I'm
things
not
are isn't going to
complaining.
make things a bit
I'm
better
just
by
sharing
telling how awful things are.
experiences.
So I offer a solution. The solution is you learn how to do this, and then maybe you'll get the justice at least once in a while. But if you refuse to learn, don't expect it. Nobody's going to hand you anything. You have to pay
So,
your way.
Okay,
okay,
Jean-Marc,
so
good? Is that good? Can we move on? Because there's a few more people with their
if
hands up.
if we can have more details about how long we need to study again and learn again new stuff, for sure. I'm still very curious about what's the trick
The trick
that
is
is
to
proposed
learn
here.
the rules, Black Wolf. Learn the rules. The court has to obey rules. That's how we enforce justice. We make the judge obey the rules. We make everybody who comes to court obey the rules. If you don't know the rules, then don't expect to get justice. There's going to be corruption. Bad people are always going to try to come forward. Let me make a point here if I can.
Hi, it's Steve here. Yeah,
Hang on, Steve. Hang on,
I didn't get
Steve.
your message.
Steve, hang on,
sorry.
Steve. The guest speaker's speaking right now.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
There's an interesting difference between light and darkness. If I turn out this light, the darkness didn't have any choice. The darkness had to come in.
Huh?
I turn on the light, and the light drives the darkness away. Now I can complain about darkness. Isn't it awful? Because I should just have light. It should just be there because I'm a good person. No, that's not how life is. And if we want to make progress, we're all going to have to grow up and realize there is darkness in the world. There has always been darkness in the world, but there's a whole lot more light in the world today than there was when I was born. A whole lot more light in the world today than there was when my grandfather was born. A whole lot more light in the world today than 2,000 years ago when Jesus of Nazareth, just an innocent carpenter, was nailed to a cross. We need to work and keep working until the whole world is safe from the darkness. And we do that by establishing rules and principles to live by, to seek and support and fight for and press forward against the darkness. Damn the darkness. Overcome the darkness with principles and rules that you can believe in and support each other instead of fighting over issues and worrying about this and worrying about that. And oh my gosh, it's terrible. It's terrible. Yeah, it's been terrible.
Okay.
It's been
So
terrible forever.
All
my,
right,
uh,
Jim,
my, my
can we move on?
comprehension
Jim,
was
Jim
that,
Mark,
Members of my
Jim Mark,
family were driven out of Georgia, driven out of Georgia.
Okay.
Andrew Jackson was the president. He defied the Supreme Court to get the Cherokee people driven out of Georgia and North Carolina. He defied the Supreme Court. This is something that's been going on for a long time. But sitting around complaining about it or feeling sorry for ourselves about it is not the answer. We have to
I'm
stand up
sorry you
and
took it like
fight for
this.
what's right.
Okay. Thank you. We're going to move on to the next question. Good question. Great explanation. Chief Williams had his hand up for a while. Chief, aloha, welcome. I know you have trouble with the computer mute and stuff, so go ahead. Ask your question.
I'm very pleased to be on with this expert on the law. I don't know whether he's had the opportunity to be in Canada and deal in what we call a communist country, where you can know the rules of court procedures, and it makes no difference to the judge because the judge decides what he wants to do. And I've been in the court system fighting for over 40 years. I've been to the Supreme Court of Canada twice. Every court, which is different than in the US, we have the lower court and the higher court. You have district and circuit court. Have you ever been in the Canadian court system? That's what I really would like to know, because your US system is completely, I've been in it. It is completely different than the Canadian system. There is no justice in the Canadian system, regardless whether you think so or not. If you're taking on the government like we have, and with the help of the Alliance of Indigenous Nations, we were successful to get back 15,000 square kilometers or 4 million acres of land on Friday the 13th, December 24th, from the federal government negotiate out of court. Because when you put your hands in Canada in front of the judge, he doesn't care about the law. He applies whatever he thinks he wants to do in order to protect what we call a justice system. So I would like to know, because I've listened to you and I appreciate your experience and your knowledge, sir. I'm not trying to take anything away from it. But what I'm saying is, have you ever been in Canadian courts on a case and applied your methods and got good results from it?
I represented a man from Ottawa. He's a developer. He owned the Chima Hotel. I don't know if any of you know the Chima Hotel. I've never been to the Chima Hotel. I've been to Ottawa. I represented him. I tried to deal with 3 different law firms up there. I told them what to do. They were too stupid or too afraid of the court. And there's a lot of that there and here. They were too afraid of the court to do what I told them to do. I was hired to ride herd. That's a Western American term. I was hired by this man, very successful man, to ride herd on 3 different law firms. I couldn't get any of those law firms to do what they needed to do. So I understand it's difficult. But on the other hand, I have to come back to what I've been saying, and I will continue to say it as long as I'm alive. That if things aren't going well, then that's when we have to turn up the heat. We have to find a way. Being a commentator, telling the world how terrible things are, it's time for that to be put aside. I've heard it and heard it and heard it. I started the website in 1997. People have been emailing me for 30 years. And in that time, they talk about this and that, how horrible it is, how horrible it is, how horrible it is. And I keep coming back to them and saying, well, okay, fine. What good did that do anybody? So you told me how awful it is. What good did it do? Why don't you put your
Oh,
heads
no,
together and find a way? Why don't you find a way to overcome the damn corruption? Instead of just
let me
talking about it. My
interrupt for
gosh,
a second here,
don't you
because
get tired of
I,
talking
I've,
about how
I've,
awful it is?
sir, stop for a second. I've heard this same message from you on everybody that's bringing their concerns to you. We're not complaining. We're making a mere statement of facts. I go into court, okay, and represent myself, and I'm very successful because I will not use a licensed liar that is licensed by the state to
They're
protect the
cowards.
state.
Most
I've been in
lawyers
the
I know are
US as well.
cowards.
I've been in Florida. No, it's not that they're cowards. They would, some of them, if they challenge, they will be punished by the bar. They will lose
Exactly.
their
That's what I
license
just
to
said.
practice.
Isn't that what I just said?
Yes,
They're cowards. They won't stand up
but
to the
again,
judge.
sir, if they challenge them in court on what you're saying, and they lose their license, and their client loses their case, then what have they accomplished? What we've managed to do is to go into court and use the law and argue the law against the other side. And we've been very successful doing that. We wouldn't have got
Good.
back 15,000. Do you understand? 4 million acres of land, ancestral lands, we got back without having to go to court against the federal government of Canada.
I'm not
So
teaching
we
you to
look at
use
that
a
as a
lawyer.
huge accomplishment.
No,
Right? The court always
when
doesn't resolve issues. I'm just trying to,
when you
because
get to
I
my
know the
website,
proper
it's how to win
procedure.
in court. It says without a lawyer. I'm teaching people how to win without a lawyer. I'm not asking you to get a lawyer. I'm asking
No,
you to
and
learn how
that's,
to win in court. And I think it's what you're already telling me, that you're learning that you can do this, but you have to do it yourself and don't trust the lawyers to do it for you.
I agree with 100% with that statement. That's what I'm trying to say, that if your course is successful, as you claim it to be, and I'm not disagreeing with that, then it is worthwhile. Is your course in American funds or Canadian funds?
American funds.
Because right now, okay, so that means it would cost a Canadian roughly almost $400
I have no
Canadian
idea. I have
to
people
pay in
from New
American
Zealand,
funds.
England, Ireland, people all over the world are signing
It's
up for the course. But whatever it is, it's a whole lot less than you'd pay a lawyer. But the bottom line is
yes,
you have the opportunity to learn these things and certainly get some tips and tactics that will help you in this process. But right there, it
yes,
says very at the top of the page, it says how to win in court without a lawyer.
mhm,
And people that I hire lawyers, I keep telling people, if you can afford a lawyer, fine, but control the lawyer, have an agreement in writing with the lawyer before you go to court. So the lawyer has to do certain things that you want the lawyer to do. It's your case, not the lawyer's case. We need to change the way things are done. And that's going to happen as more and more of you people become more aware of the fact that some people are winning cases in Canada. Some people are
yeah,
winning.
we are an example of winning a huge case with the help of John and the Alliance of Indigenous Nations. Now we are going to move now to self-governance. We are actually going to set up our own native justice system within our 15,000 square kilometers of land. So I'm not disagreeing with you, sir. Don't take
Good.
my comments as being negative. They're actually positive, right? That if your teaching, your course can help people learn to self-represent and win in court, know the court procedures. That's the biggest thing. That if you don't go into court and know the rules of procedure, the judge won't even entertain you, right?
Right.
So I'm agreeing with you.
Good.
Yes. And you can't keep blaming the system. You have to work within the system and use the system to your benefit. At
Music to
that,
my
I
ears.
will be quiet. I greatly appreciate John inviting you on. And I'm saying more people have to be like you and have to help try to educate people that want to and should represent themselves, but they need to learn how to do it. Service that you're offering. And good luck.
Thank you. And
Thanks, Chief
knowledge is
William.
power, and the people need power. And somewhere and I don't, again, I'm not trying to get religious. I've tried to stay away from religious, but somewhere in that book people call the Bible, it says the people perish for lack of knowledge. And so that's one of the reasons I started all this years and years and years ago, because it seemed to me, well, let me just say this to you real quick. It's kind of interesting. I asked my granddad. My granddad was pretty successful when I was growing up. He was dirt poor when he was a boy. They didn't have anything, but he was honest and he worked very hard. And I asked him one time, I said, Granddad, what's the secret to success? He said, find something people need and give it to them at a price they can afford. And so as I got older, and I was 39 when I went to law school, but I had gone through some things in my life and I realized people don't have a clue, don't have a clue. And innocent people being arrested and put in jail for crimes they didn't commit. Again, people having their children taken away from them, all these horrible things that are going on. It doesn't have to be that way. And what I found, what was so beautiful when I began to see it more clearly, is there is this set of rules. They don't favor one side or the other. They don't see what color your skin is. They don't know what gender you are. The rules don't see anything. That justice is blind. Lawyers are not blind. Judges are not blind, but the rules are, and they're fair. They apply to both sides. And so the person who understands how to play the game, it's kind of like a game of chess. I have a friend I play chess on my iPhone. He has an iPhone. We play chess. And when we use the rules, one of us is going to win sooner or later. Because if we don't use the rules, we lose. It's just life. And if
I
we
just want
could
to
just get more and more people out there who are number one, people who are being oppressed, and number two, I think more importantly, people who care about other people who are oppressed, people that don't really have a dog in the fight, people that really don't have a personal problem, but who would have enough courage and responsibility to stand up for other people, who would learn how to do this and help people and come together. Use your church facilities, your Kiwanis clubs, other social clubs and everything to get together and teach each other, come together in groups and learn how to control your government through the courts. It's the answer, folks. This is the answer to the problems of the world. But it's going to take the people themselves to take responsibility, to come together and get excited about this opportunity, the power that you have that you don't even know you have. And those of you who are beginning to see how this works, you should be encouraged to motivate other people to see past this barrier of negativity and go ahead and step out in faith, believing in those rules, believing that they are what I say they are fair. They don't apply to one side more than the other. They apply for the person who knows how to use them.
Yes. Can I just make one comment and then I will be quiet? I act as, you know what a McKinsey friend is. So I act as a McKinsey friend for free to help other people, because you know what the biggest thing people don't acknowledge? They don't know the process when they go into court. And that's the biggest thing, that when they're charged with something, they don't know how to respond to it when they go into court. And that is the most key to winning a case, is to be able to lay the ground floor when you first appear, ask for your disclosure. If all the disclosure that you feel has not been presented, then request from the other side that they're withholding. So I applaud you. Okay.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? I really do. I applaud you, because you have taken and dedicated a lot of your life in order to help other people learn how to act and prepare for court. There's not very many people like you in this world, my friend. And
Well,
I applaud you and thank you for being that person.
well, I'm that fellow that hung on that cross. I saw when I was, I'm going to say this. I was probably 5 years old. My grandparents took me to a church, had a big stained glass window, and there's a picture of this fellow in the stained glass window, had holes in his hands and feet. I've not been a good man, certainly not claiming to be a saint of any kind, but the holes in that man's hands and feet affected me. And I look at people today, there are people walking around and they're sad faces and they're dejected and they're solemn and they're lost and they're confused and they don't know what's going on. And to me, they kind of remind me of that man with the holes in his hands and feet. People that are abused, people that are beaten down, people that are cheated out of the joys of life by one thing or another. And I just happened to walk into a library one day and a beam of light shone on some books. It's really true, a true story. A beam of light shone on a 2-volume leather-bound, gold inlaid books. And I was 27 years old. And I started this journey. And I learned that there are things that are noble and honorable and worthy, things that make a difference, things that create courage, that instill courage and determination in the souls of men and women to stand up for what's right, no matter what the cost. And we owe everything we have to that spirit that's not being talked about, that's not being celebrated, that's not being honored. And it can be, but it's going to take a whole lot more voices than mine. Your voices, you stand up for it. You take the positive stand. Stand up for what's right. Stand up for those rules. Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. Tell the judge, no, we're not going to do that. That witness is not going to answer that question. It violates the rules, and people died for those rules, and I'm not going to put up with it.
And I can't say enough, sir. The fee that you're charging is nothing for the knowledge that you have gained and the help that you're offering to other people. I mean, it's not what you're charging isn't even an hour's time in a lawyer's office. And they tell you nothing because they don't want you to learn anything or they wouldn't have a job. True. And that's what they look at us as the same way, because we educate, we help, we help people learn how to conduct themselves in court and win in court, how to file motion materials, how to do all you, sir. Okay. You are an angel sent from heaven.
Enough.
Okay. Thanks.
No.
Okay.
Enough. Okay. It's two things. It is procedure, but it's also evidence. So it's procedure and evidence. And getting it in writing and not waiting till you walk into the courtroom. If you just take that one thing out of our time together today, it will make all the difference. So many people are losing because they don't understand the rules of evidence. They don't understand objections. Those two things go hand in hand. You can know the rules of evidence till the cows come home, but if you're not on your feet and quickly and say, no, objection, Your Honor, that witness cannot answer that question, the question calls for hearsay. Or the question calls for something that's not relevant, or it's privileged, or whatever. There are objections. When you know how to do it, that's the evidence side of it, and knowing how to get evidence in using your 5 discovery tools. And then, as you say, procedure, it's all about procedure, but it's also all about evidence. Those two pillars, Joaquin and Boaz, and that's where it is. And it's fair. You can force the court to be fair. And if you do it correctly and the judge doesn't do what the judge is supposed to do, you can take it up on appeal, and hopefully, no guarantees, but hopefully the people on appeal will want to make the judge do what's right. And you can learn all of this in just a short period of time. It doesn't take a long period of time.
Thanks, Chief William.
God bless you.
Great answer. And just before I call on the next, And I'll just give you, I was in court Wednesday observing a case, Monday, and exactly what Dr. Graves is talking about. Our um, the gentleman was doing a habeas corpus appeal, and so he was bringing the action. And the judge, right off the bat, started talking to the Crown prosecutor. And I was texting the guy, object, 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 because when you're bringing the action, the judge must call on you first. You don't go to the. What's happened is they're so used to going to the Crown and asking the Crown and letting the Crown speak. And so I'm texting him while he's on court Zoom, and I'm texting him from my phone, so hoping he's going to say, you got to keep objecting. The judge is trying to talk over him. I said, no, you have to keep objecting. You go first, not the Crown. And this happens every day. I've seen this happen every time I go to court, because people don't know that when you're bringing the motion, you're bringing the application, you speak first, not the Crown prosecutor. Okay. I just wanted to share that because that happened. I observed 3 cases this week, and I saw it happen in all 3 cases.
Exactly.
You know what? Actually, a lot of people would probably want to know the answer to this, so I'm going to ask it in case they don't. There's this thing where the judges think they can shut the courtroom down to everybody, and they don't have to allow the public in, and the public their phones can be taken before they walk into the court. Like they could take their money out of their pocket before they walk into the court, and all this type of ridiculous stuff that's going on in the courts these days. And it's not just Canada, it's America, it's everywhere. What would your suggestion be for that, Dr. Graves?
Well, there are situations where it is a good idea. I dealt with some infants some time ago, 2 little boys, and their father had murdered their mother.
Yeah.
So we didn't want anybody in the courtroom, but the people who needed to be in the courtroom. And then there's the thing, what we call enforce. We just say we enforce the rule. For example, let's say I'm going to cross-examine a witness, and I've got several witnesses in a case, and the other witnesses are going to stay outside. They're not going to be in the room when I cross-examine the witness. So I invoke the rule. But again, it comes to the point is, are we going to have rules, or are we going to be ruled? Now there's a
Yeah.
thought for you.
Yeah.
Are we going to live in a world of rules, or are we going to be ruled? So we either learn how to govern, or we will be ruled. But to govern, we have to have rules. We have to believe in the rules. We have to support the rules. And if the people who are making the rules make rules that favor people that have blue eyes, then all you people with brown eyes, you need to get involved. You need to put a stop to it. But the rules here in the States are, they don't know what color eyes you have. They don't know what color skin you have. They don't know what gender you are. They don't know whether you know what your sexual preference is, God forbid. I mean, they don't care. The rules don't care. So I believe in the rules, and I think we all ought to be fighting for the rules and standing up for the rules and believing in the rules and teaching the rules, teaching the rules, teaching the rules, and then the world will become a better place. That makes sense?
Yep. Good answer, Dr. Graves. How about somebody that hasn't asked a question that's here would like to ask a question? Diane, Christina, any have any questions? Dr. Hibbert, if you're still on.
Well, it's getting late. I'm going
Chris,
to take
one
my wife
more
and I are going to go to
question.
the grocery store. Like I told you, I'm going to the grocery store. Nobody's going to stop me. Nobody's going to arrest me. I actually have a license plate. Let me just talk about this for just a minute, and then I do need to go. There's a bunch of people in this country. They are dumber than a sack of rocks, and they are not your friend. They are not helping. They want to have their own license plates. Well, there's a reason we have license plates, at least here in Florida. The license plate tells me and tells the police officer that this fellow has liability insurance. Now, some people say, well, I don't believe in that. Well, okay. Well, but then you want to drive around in a car that can hurt people and you don't want to have insurance. We live in a republic here, and we elected legislators, and the legislators decided some time ago that if you want the privilege of driving an automobile, you have to have liability insurance. Well, there are people out there that want to break the law because they just want to break the law over tiny things, over silly things. And they're not your friend, because what they're trying to do is unravel the principles that make civilization possible. We have to restore the landmarks. In that book that the light shone on, when I walked in the library when I was 27 years old, I was a sailor. I was a boat builder. I was nobody special. I didn't know a whole lot about anything. But that book that a 2-volume book that I picked up and I started reading, one of the things that the author kept saying over and over again was every generation has a responsibility to reset the landmarks. And of course, that comment, if you think about it for just a moment, it presupposes that somebody must be moving the landmarks every generation. Because why would he say we have to reset the landmarks unless the landmarks are being moved? And they are. And they're being moved by young people. They're being moved by people that don't know things like that I know, having lived more than 8 decades now so far. I know things younger people don't know. And the younger people are moving the landmarks. They're not your friend. We have to get to the point where we have to reestablish these principles, what that man called landmarks, principles, rules to live by, rules to be governed by. The rules are our friend. The law is our friend. And there are people trying to corrupt the law, and they have been around forever. They will be around, I guess, forever. They want to change the law. They want to make it favorable to them, favorable to the corporations, favorable to politicians, favorable to this side or the other side, and instead of being laws that apply to all of us equally. So they keep trying to move the landmarks. So it's up to us, each generation, to reset the landmarks, to reestablish these things, to lift these lights, lift these lamps, to show the way for future generations that without our leadership, without our teaching them what these principles are, these principles of justice and the rules that enforce the principles. You see, the principles won't enforce themselves. Constitutions do not enforce themselves. Laws do not enforce themselves. People that know how to use the rules are the ones who enforce these things and get the principles back where they belong and reset the landmarks. Instead of being people who tear down and want to break the law and twist the law and undermine the law, those people are your enemy. And an awful lot of them here in the United States, they claim to be patriots. What a bunch of nonsense. I just want to go slap somebody. They're not patriots. They're rebels. And they think that somehow there's some value in being rebellious. There isn't. The value is in standing up for what's right and doing what's right and believing in what's right and teaching your young people what's right and showing them that in the long run, if they will do what's right and support what's right, they will get the best that could possibly be out of their lives.
Mahalo. Thank you very much, Dr. Graves, for presenting today. Appreciate you offering your course to the world and everything you've been doing for the last 39 years, 40 years. And thank you. Anybody else want to say anything to Dr. Graves before he leaves? Appreciate you. Mahalo.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'll keep the Zoom open for others that want to stay on and share a little bit more about some other questions that came up, administrative, whatever, other actions. Aloha, Dr. Grave. Thank you. Okay, I'm keeping this open
you
for
for
everybody. Um, obviously, his course is designed so, people aren't confused because I know lots of people have lots of experience in different areas here. So his course is designed for the colonial court system, and it's good stuff. If if you're playing in the colonial court system. It's very good stuff. I took that course. I don't know, God, it's got to be 2 years ago, and it's not going to hurt anybody to take that course. I recommend that people take the course, despite what you might know about the legal person that was created or anything else, or reclaiming your status, right? Any of that stuff. I still would recommend this course. You're going to learn either way. So I just wanted to put that out there. Yeah. Marilyn, do you want to talk some more, or we have a few minutes we can share for everybody?
Excuse my French. I have a shitload to talk about. No, but anyways, I don't know. The Canadian courts
Muted.
system is horrific.
Yeah.
If I can have the floor.
Go ahead, Chief Bill.
Chief William, I think you really hit it
this
on the
gentleman
nail.
is trying to help people understand the rules of procedure and how to file motions and how to request disclosure that the Crown isn't providing. I mean, this is what is wrong with our whole justice system, is that there aren't enough people like the gentleman that is out there willing to sacrifice his time to help other people learn how to conduct yourself within the justice system and win. Because we've been very successful when people have said you're wasting time, but we as collectively have been very successful in the colonial justice system. But we believe, given what we've been given from our federal government, the right now to create an Indigenous or a Native justice system that deals with our beliefs and our rights. And like John and I talked about this earlier today, that we have to create a same kind of a structure that if we find somebody guilty, so we're really thrilled, put it this way. We've introduced it to all the local municipalities, their councils and mayor, and they're in shock. But I'll tell you what we did, and I'm going to be very brief so somebody else can have time. On Tuesday, we were in court, Deputy Chief Steve and myself, and we had introduced this new document, our press release, that we're now a sovereign nation, similar to like my brother there in Quebec, to the judge, the worship that was sitting at the front, that we've been in front of a number of times. Normally this gentleman would stop you and say, this is nonsense. It does, come on. We were doing what they call a judicial pretrial, getting ready to set down the time and how many witnesses and all that for a trial continue. Myself, we are now a sovereign nation, that you have no jurisdiction over us with your colonial laws, because we've been granted by the federal government now to set up our own native justice system. And he listened to it, and he was shaking in his voice. The Crown attorney was shaking, because we're taking it now into our own justice system, where we will get justice for our people, that we will not get it in the colonial system. So we have a tape recording. We taped the whole address that I did to the justice in that. And somehow it's come anonymous to us. So we are going to put it up that everybody can listen to it, because we made history in court on Tuesday again. Not only that we've managed through, with the help of the Alliance, to be a sovereign nation now again within Canada. We now have the right to self-government. We now have the right to develop our own justice system. We now have the right to put in our own native police force. We now have the right to be free of the colonial system, which is a huge step forward for all First Nations people in Canada, because we believe if we do it, we can help all First Nations people, or what we call native people to Canada. The Supreme Court made one ruling, and I don't know if you're aware of it. When they changed the song, "O Canada, Our Native Land," that wasn't directed directly at our natives like myself. That was directed that if you're born in Canada, you are native to this land. You have the same rights as First Nations people. So we've developed our own card now, our identification card. We're moving forward really fast with setting up our own sovereign nation under our own judicial native system. So, and I can't say enough. If it hadn't have been our contacts with John and joining the Alliance of Indigenous Nations, which I think everybody that has any hope of being free of the colonial system should be a member of the Alliance of Indigenous Nations. On that, John, I can't thank yous enough. This is eye-opening, if you know what I'm saying, because I've worked on this project for 10 years and we now have made success and they can't take it away from us. I met with Pierre Pettigrew. He's committed to honor what the government of Canada gave to us. I've met with Mark Carney. He is also, because they can't take it away from us. That is the nice thing. They gave it, they can't take it away. It's like my friend there in Quebec. Does he realize that you live in a sovereign nation already? That it is not a member of Canada? It is its own nation within Canada. And I would explore, okay, in your province or your lands, the rights of your rights as being Indigenous or First Nation with your government, okay? This is going to open the whole door clear across Canada for all natives. We call ourselves natives. If you've been born in Canada, you have the same rights to self-government, to not follow their colonial BS. At that, John, I can't thank you enough. Today's show, and I apologize for being late, okay, has opened the door, I hope, for a lot of people to realize that you can win with the help of somebody that knows how to do it. At that,
Thanks,
I say
Chief
thank
William.
you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, they appreciate
Got
you.
a
And
question.
go ahead, Mark. Welcome.
Thank you.
Aloha. Good to see you.
So I was speaking to Chief Denby this afternoon regarding the situation in BC, and he had some ideas. So I'd like him to explain the situation in BC and where AIN could fit in to resolve it. Go ahead, Chief.
Yep.
BC.
Okay, Mark, you and I talked about it, and I do agree. I think we can apply the same methodology that we did here in Ontario with the federal government, because the BC government is taking away the rights of Indigenous or First Nations people, even to get to court. They're blocking them. So if I was doing the same thing, they all need to join as members of the Alliance of Indigenous Nations. Once they've joined, they have been granted then the same rights that we have as to be a sovereign nation from the federal government. As long as they're a member of the Alliance of Indigenous Nations, they receive the same benefits that we did here in Ontario. So, John, it's like I've said, people need to take this very serious as to what these group of people have dedicated. Again, they've dedicated their time, their efforts, and now the fruit is coming home, right? So we need to be 180, 200, 300 members of the Alliance of Indigenous Nations, because they have done something that I don't think the federal government even believed when they agreed and recognized and acknowledged that we have the right to be sovereign and sovereign nations within Canada. At that, I will stop, because
Thanks,
we have
Chief.
to, you know, there's other people want to talk. And
Yeah,
Okay.
the link, I just want to say the link
we're
is in the chat.
yes.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks. Let's just take two more questions from Brady and then Steve, or first Brady, and then we'll go over to Peter, and then we'll call it a day. Go ahead, Brady. Aloha, Brady. Good to see you.
Yo, yo actually means hello in my native tongue of Kwapala. It's a slang term that they've taken out and put into like a gangster term, meaning hey yo. When you say yo, people look at you like you're a gangster, but it's really actually just how we say hi. Out here on the west coast in British Columbia, I'm on Vancouver Island, the north end. My family holds hereditary chieftainship of the Namgis Nation up here on the land I'm living on. So I'm having a couple of issues with the courts and the cops and everything else telling me what to do with my own child on my own land, given the history of Canada. As you all know, I'm not going to get into it. And them still governing over me and my land and my place and my space. I've been assaulted by a cop twice now, once putting my daughter at risk. She was sleeping in the back seat when they came up and threatened to smash my face into the pavement and put handcuffs on me and arrested me. And I had to beg the officer to get out to be able to see my daughter when she woke up. I put my daughter at extreme risk. So they were very reckless with their behavior on how he did it. And the next time this guy pulled me over, he allegedly said he saw me going through a stop sign and then ripped me out of my car, pulled a gun on me, and arrested me for 18 hours because I took his gun away and I threw it away. I didn't really let him shoot me. And so now we're going through the whole court system thing and all that stuff. And the Crown has refused to give me the evidence because they're afraid I'm going to post it on Facebook. So I don't have any full disclosure. It's now been, I think it's been like 5 months into the whatever, and they're scheduling it for July. And yeah, is this, John, you were talking to me about that. Is this process?
Well, that's part of what Dr. Graves was talking about. You're entitled to that under, since it's criminal, it's not discovery, it's disclosure, but it's the same thing, criminal setting as opposed to civil. So they have to give you that video evidence, video dash cam, video body cam, all of that needs to be turned over. If they're not turning it over, if you want to use one of Dr. Graves' techniques, you could require a court order, ask the court to order the Crown to turn it over. Okay, it's ridiculous that you should have to do that, but that's one way.
Judge, and the judge said, okay, we're not going to give it to him. You can go into the police station to see it. And I'm sorry, but I've been assaulted by cops twice. I'm not going in there. Fuck that.
Yeah.
They've come to my door twice, knocking on my door. I look through the peephole. I make it obvious that I'm home, and I just fucking walk away. And I don't even answer the door to them anymore, ever again. And I'm not going to, because they've assaulted me twice already. So I'm not entitled to answer the door or to speak to any regard.
Good for you, Brady.
Good
for
Could
you.
I just make a comment? Brady, you would have grounds to file a constitutional charter rights for the violation of your charter rights. And I would include that. Okay. Not only that, the next time you appear in court, have they set down your trial date yet?
Yeah, it's July 16th and 17th. July 16th, there's
But you
going
don't
to be
have
two.
this. Okay. So let me, I don't want to waste a lot of your time and whatnot. So therefore you have not been given disclosure.
No.
That's a violation. That's a violation under the rules of procedure. You have grounds then to file for a dismissal of your charges. Okay. But you've got to file the documents and the evidence, all the evidence you need, emails, voice recordings, to prove that you've requested it, and you've got to keep requesting that because what you say to them is, I want my disclosure. I'll enter into an agreement, and what they do is they put on a public publication ban, that those documents can't be made public. Then they have to give them to you. You understand? So all you have to do is go into court, say, I'm willing to I want a publication ban on my case. I want my disclosure. I can't prepare my case without that disclosure because I may need additional disclosure that they're withholding. Okay. If that's helpful, I hope so. Right. John can. Right.
Yeah, it's pretty good advice. The only caveat to that, I would say, you don't want a publication ban because it's your evidence. It's that video cam evidence that's going to convict those police officers that pulled the gun on you. Okay, so if you guys didn't hear him clearly, this is a serious case. A police officer pulled his gun on him, and Brady defended his life and took the gun from the officer's hand and then jumped on the officer. This is
Didn't
very
jump on-
serious. So
And-
that evidence alone
No,
will, so yeah, so let's talk more, a little more
but I'm
about it off
agreeing to that,
screen,
but
Chief.
but
Yep. He doesn't want a
okay,
publication ban because that's the evidence he's going to use. That's gonna see the reason they're not giving him that evidence is because it shows that Brady is innocent and the police officers are guilty of threat, duress,
I think
conspiracy,
I think you're
attempted.
misunderstanding, John. You're
No, I
misunderstanding.
understand totally. I understand. Go ahead.
A
Go ahead,
publication
Bill.
ban means that he won't release it to the public. That's all.
Yeah, I know. And I'm saying it's just the opposite. We want that information. We want those videos to go viral, and we want the
Oh,
public
you want to
see
release them?
what's
Okay,
going on.
okay,
Yes. Yes.
okay,
So Bill,
okay.
we're going to just
Yep.
so we're clear, everybody. I brought this up in the agenda. We are going to the court of public opinion. We are exposing everything now. This is what we're doing. We are not letting these courts operate in darkness without transparency or these judges. The reason a lot of this has been going on because they've been allowed to operate in darkness. We're bringing the light and we're shedding the light on it. And the way we're going to do it is earlier, I was explaining to everybody, we're going to take these blogs, these Substacks. We're each going to connect with each other. We're going to post, repost on each other's. Then we have IT experts who are going to tweak the search engines so that our truth starts to come out on top ahead of the false narrative. And we're also going to start going to an international tribunal to expose this to the world, what's going on up in Canada, Inc. Okay. So yes, I'm opposed to any publication bans of any kind unless it meets the exception of the rule where there's little kids involved, right? Children, that type of stuff. That's different. Those are exceptions to the general rules. The general rules is the disclosure must be full and complete. If the Crown fails to turn over exculpatory information, like they did in Brady's case, it's over. The case is over for them. They lose. It's done. Or
Yes.
he has to get a court order or something like that. Can't be. That's totally insane that they're not giving
So-
you that evidence.
Yeah,
So Brady's gonna do a live video explaining everything that was done to him. Same way
Exactly.
I did, John.
Yes, exactly.
I did
That's what
exactly
all
the
of us
same
need
way.
to do. That's exactly what all of us need to do.
Okay.
Exactly. Those officers, I tell you what, those officers, if Brady starts doing videos, we've already had this conversation off screen, they're going to run.
Yep.
When people start to see that, they're going to demand those guys' jobs immediately.
Yes.
this guy's got a reputation. It's
Brady,
people.
I did
and
the
this guy's got-
same. I did the same thing when they tried to kill me. Yep. Yep.
They're gonna
I did
win.
exactly the same thing. We released a video,
Very dangerous, Chief. What Brady's a single father
it
like
went
myself,
viral.
and he has it. Yeah. So, anyways, just everybody always record. Don't go to court
Yep,
by
I
yourself.
understand
Ever.
now.
Bring witnesses with
Yep.
you.
Mhm.
I don't care if you're just filing paperwork. Bring witnesses to record. I didn't want to bring it up with Dr. Graves, but a huge issue is they won't even record our documents when we go to court to file our documents. Okay. So that's very important to bring witnesses with you and always have them recording when you're going to do this stuff. We have issues all the way up to the Supreme Court of Canada where they're refusing to file documents. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. So it's very serious. So anyways, with that said, you guys were really close to 5 o'clock going over. I hope that helps people a little more. Yeah, and we all got to stick together. We still have Chiefs, Brady. If sooner you get the treaty signed, the sooner you're helping yourself, just like Chief Williams said. Your nation hasn't signed the treaty yet. If you could get that done right away, that'd be great. Chief Bruce Baptiste, I saw him on here today. Been with us for 3.5 years. If your nation could sign the treaty, that would be great. That's what we need. We need to keep increasing our numbers and keep.
where's the
ahead.
copy treaty? Can you send
So
me the?
I gave you Errol's information. I'll send it to you, text it to you again as soon as I hang over the Zoom. You got to touch base with Errol. I gave it to you twice, but I'll give it to you again so you have it, Brady. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Dr. Ben, I know you listened to the whole thing. I know you're on from the very beginning. You know, we might as well hear from you for a couple of minutes if you don't mind sharing with us before we close out. Your always words of wisdom are always appreciated.
Greetings to you, John, and everyone on the platform this evening. I appreciate the recognition. Pleased to be here to listen to the presentation. I listened intently to the comments. Many of the speakers raised critical issues which are pertinent and real. They're highlighting the indiscretion of the judges and the whole judicial system that puts people at a disadvantage. And I support this mission. I understand the pain that many people feel. And so in different spheres, we are engaged in the same process, looking for the same outcome. John, you and I have spoken, and you know, my strong point is having to challenge the authenticity of what is called law. And in spite of the rules, we have been challenged by the rules and the procedures of engagement in the courts and all of that. And they destroy a lot of people by the rules because people don't understand the rules of engagement in the court, which is unfair. And of course, they say, we are not here to teach law, we're not here to help you and all of this stuff, which is not right. Okay, but nonetheless, that's what they do to gain the advantage. My position is, if you negate everything, if you surrender and say, okay, I didn't comply with the rules, so you have the right to do what you want to do. Now, what is the law that gives you the authority to do what you want to do? And then, of course, do you validate that law? As the attorney tried to emphasize, the rules are fair to both parties. That is not true. That is not true at all. And many of you who have had your experiences know that's not a true statement. However, when we look at what law is, that's where the real power is. Because once we understand the science in the law, there's nothing the judges, the attorney, or the crown or anybody can do. And perhaps what I would consider at another point in time, John, my schedule is tight, and I made it my point to be on this platform this evening to listen intently. When we talk about the science and law, I would like to be able to bring this to the fore in a practical way so that persons can understand what is meant by the science in law. And as I listen to the attorney intently, he's talked a lot about his power in his teaching. We have no substance in law without the science. I'm saying this to you. I will say that to the attorney, to any judge, there is no power outside of the science in law. And when we talk about equity or equal treatment, all is equal under the law, it's an idle statement. And I'm bringing this home now. I'm trying to work it out, John, where I will have the opportunity to physically demonstrate the power of the science and law. And I can only do that on the basis of the scale. All of you know, attorneys have a scale. It's called the scale of justice, correct? All of you see it, okay? And I will show you how empty that is without the science in law. I'm guaranteeing you that. And when you learn the science in law, it doesn't matter what law they bring against you. If you can apply that science to that law, and what I will do, and actually illustrate this by a literal scale. Follow what I'm saying? I'm gonna, if allowed, I will share my screen and show the scale and allow you to see what they call law is not law at all. And that's how they damage people. And I'm going to show you, based on the science, what are the pillars that must be involved in what constitutes law and use that scale to show how you can invalidate what they call law in the absence of those pillars. And so all the rules that they may talk about is null and void once they come to the point and say, we're going to enforce this law against you because that's the law you violated. So we'll keep in touch, John, and you know, at a point in time, if we can facilitate that, I would like to do that.
Yeah, we could definitely do that. Did you just put this, I gave you the share screen if you wanted to just show the scales you're talking about. If you got it up on your screen, you're welcome. The scales of justice. I think you're talking about.
Let's see. I did not. I was not prepared for this, John. You know, I was not prepared.
Okay, it's fine. I thought you were pulling it up on your screen, so I gave you the share
I
screen.
was not prepared for it, but I'm offering to share it so that people could understand that when you look at the scale, technically you're looking at the law. And if you look at the scale, you see that the scale is balanced, it's equal. And that suggests it's equal to both sides. So the law itself cannot discriminate. It's not blind as the attorney said. However, in practice, it is totally blind. You know that.
Exactly.
Okay? So when we look at the science would give sight to the judge and to the attorney and everybody else. And then that's where you're going to get your justice, because they can no longer be blind to the fact that what you're calling law is not law at all. And therefore, where there is no law, there is no transgression. And you can easily have any case dismissed because you have invalidated what they call law and they cannot enforce it against you. But you have to understand the science. And like I said, I work with my law students, and I found that bringing the scale into the fore to demonstrate the efficacy of the science is the best way to make people understand. And so part of my goal is to develop this construct of the scale integrated with the science so that anyone can have that and destroy the court system. One thing he said, which is very true, he said, I made a note of it, you can control the government through the courts, which is very true, because once you can, the authority of government is what they call, rely on what they call law, and that is authenticated or reinforced in the court. Once you destroy the law in the court system, then the government has no power. So that's where we come in, where we, the people, can take power back from the government because you can't enforce the law, what they call law. You follow me? So I appreciate the recognition, and we'll talk further. And you keep in touch with me, and when my schedule allows, I will sort of have the opportunity to bring this forward to the platform so that people can grasp it and see how profitable it is. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. We'd love to have you as a guest speaker, Dr. Ben, if that's doable in your schedule one of these days.
Not wholly as a guest speaker, but we can arrange it when I can come on the platform. We can allocate maybe 10 or 15 minutes to where that can be done.
I'm planting a seed. So I'm manifesting you as a guest speaker.
Okay. Thanks for the recognition. And
okay. Yeah. Thanks, Dr. Ben, as always. Peter, you want to say anything? Because I think you're new to the last couple Zooms. So if you want to say something before we close out.
Absolutely. I'd like to leave this on a high note, if possible. We have a lot more power as individuals than we actually realize. Spiritual, we have guides that help us, that we just have to ask for their help. If we have the attitude that we're not going to win in court, what are the chances we're not going to win in court? If we have the attitude that whatever it's going to take, we're going to find a solution and we're going to win, then that's going to produce better results. We understand that the system is corrupt 100%, but there are solutions. There are, like was just mentioned, there's lots of solutions that we can find, but we have to open our mind and ask for help and ask for guidance from spirits, from above, from everywhere.
Yeah.
And we need
Agreed.
to do it together and show other people so that other people can follow us.
Agreed. Agreed. Thank you. All right. With that said, everybody, how you doing, Lionel? Aloha. With that said, I'd like to close it out, and usually tension span goes at about 90 minutes, as you can see. So a lot of people drop off after the 90-minute mark. So I got my daughter. She's waiting for me. I promised some quality daddy-daughter time, so I have to take care of my daughter. Thank you, everybody. Mahalo. Brady, I just text you the information you need.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome. Mahalo.
Thank you very much.
Breathe the same air.
Thank you. Till the
Thank
next
you.
time.
Thank you,
Mahalo.
John, for another great program.
You're welcome, Lionel.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Mahalo. Thanks, Diane.
Hell.